Morning, everyone. Thanks for waiting for me. Hi, Carlos. How are you? Good morning. And welcome to the Trade, Commerce, and Tourism Committee. It is Wednesday, June the 2nd. Only a few more days till Christmas. Okay, let's take item number 1. I'm Councilmember Janice Hahn, by the way, and I'm not joined by anybody. It's just me.
Under item 1, the Board of Harbor Commissioners submits for council approval proposed amendments to the container terminal permits with 5 tenants: China Shipping Holding Company, Yangming Marine Transport Corporation, Yusen Terminals, Evergreen Marine Corporation, and APM Terminals Pacific, to incorporate the 2010 container customer initiatives which have been adopted by the board, and these are temporary discounts and credits to assist the tenants. The CAO did not prepare a report on this matter because the mayor and committee chair have both waived consideration of the CAO's review.
That was me. I waved that. Jenny waved that. Okay. All right. So this is basically your discount that you're giving our tenants. What? Because of our economic times, and you feel like you need to do this for them?
Yes, Councilwoman. Mike Christensen, Deputy Executive Director from the Harbor Department. What you have before you on item 1 are 5 agreements with 5 of our 7 container terminal tenants that really gives 3 things. It gives the 6% discount, which was a one-time based on the throughput in fiscal year 2008, and then puts forward an empty credit, which basically is designed to give them some relief and also put us on parity with the Port of Long Beach, who has a different type of a rate structure that recognizes empties. And then also provides a transshipment rate, which is really focused on cargo, say, from South America that comes up to the Port of Los Angeles and then gets transloaded into a ship bound for Asia.
Right.
And the 2 items that will continue until we decide to pull them off are the empty credit and transshipment rate. I believe, Council Member, we had an APL item that came to you a few weeks ago, which was the 6th, and then the 7th container terminal is later on in your agenda today. All of these are really designed to provide our customers with some relief in recognition of the fact that the industry has lost about $20 billion in the last year, and to try to preserve and hopefully increase our market share coming out of the recession.
Yeah, and why is it based on the 2008 throughput?
Well, I think that only the 6% rebate was based on that, and that was trying to find an equitable way to give the container terminals a shot in the arm that would
that was a bad year.
Because it was the beginning of the bad year, and the cash that would come from that would be able to be infused into their operation in the midst of the recession. And
so, but they get this discount when? Now?
No. Well, the 6%.
The 6%
was a one-time.
It's already happened.
Right.
When did they get it?
I cannot tell you that for sure. I'd have to get back to you as to when that was dispersed.
Okay. Let's see. It does say here, said credit to be issued between January and June of this year. Is that right?
I believe that's right, yes.
Okay. That seems weird. If, 2008 was the tough year, what was the thinking behind not giving them the credit until this year, when actually cargo is up?
Cargo's starting up, but we're still fairly depressed.
But it's up. It's actually the same levels as it was, 2006?
No, we're still years away from the 2006 levels. We bounced along.
2004. We're about where we were in 2004.
Possibly
so.
Earlier than that. So we're still just.
But like this year, it's projected to be like 14 million, I think, between both LA and Long Beach, which was where we were. I used to talk about 14 million all the time in like 2004.
I think that's industry projections. We're being a little more conservative than that.
What's your projections for container throughput at LA this year?
I'll have to get back to you on that exact projection. I don't have that.
Well, then how would you know if the other one's not correct?
We were at 16 million at the high water point of 2006, and we've had close to a 20% decline, so.
Yeah. I don't know.
Now-
I mean, I know it's bad, but sometimes we I think are giving a false impression when we talk about how bad it is, because in fact it is at the same levels it was, I want to say 2004, 2000, which was, we thought it was, we thought we had the world by the tail during those years. So we're back up to where that was. It's not as good as I think where we projected. We were projecting like triple the increase by, I think, 2020. So we're certainly not going to get there, but it is starting to get back up. I'm just curious to know what the thinking is on the incentives, why it's important this year.
2006 was a high water mark, and we're going to be about 2014 before we get back to the 2006 levels, based on our latest projections. So the industry is still hurting. It's still hurting pretty badly. There are still some of our customers that are just teetering on solvency, and we wanted to be sure that we took advantage of where we are now.
So what has this gotten us? Have they pledged to? Are we just doing this, in other words, just to be kind to them, or has it actually proven that they are staying with us as a result of this, or were they going to go to Long Beach, or it was just kind of a goodwill gesture? Do you think?
No, it's very much calculated to retain and increase our market share. What we've seen is ports up and down the West Coast with similar programs, so we needed to at least meet what they're doing in order to retain market share. We have seen a couple things happen of late. We've had a brand new container line that has just started service to the Port of Los Angeles, which we think was at least in part due to the incentives we put forward. We've had 2 new services announced in the past week or so of new Asia services that are going to start up again and come to the Port of LA. So we're feeling like it's having an impact. The fact that we're putting forward a business-friendly face, we're helping our customers when they're down at a level that we can afford.
Mm-hmm.
And
So total, what is the lost revenue to the port for these one-time discounts and the empty container?
It'd be about $20 million for the first 6% item, the one-time item, and then it's about $5.5 million a year for the other discounts, and we'll keep those.
So $25 million
Yes,
in this year, in 2010,
that's correct.
that you're willing to give up.
In order to save market share and position ourselves so that when the economy does come back,
Mm-hmm.
we're the port of choice and we get the bulk of that business.
Mm-hmm. Was there any talk about giving any incentive to the cruise ships? Because it was very unfortunate that we've seemed to have lost some of our market share of the cruise industry. Was there any discussions on any of these kinds of incentives for them?
There have been some discussions, but I think those have largely centered around the individual contracts. We have the largest cruise carrier we're in contract negotiations with right now, and those incentives are really working themselves into those discussions.
Because that's been a huge impact, I think, the loss of some of the cruise ships. It used to be a very healthy industry in San Pedro, and it's really taken a dive, so to speak.
That's true.
So, and I know that is something that helps the local economy, probably as much as anything.
That's correct. Local and regional as well.
So, okay. All right, well, and then on the, so how long do you think, okay, besides, so you don't think you'll be giving the one-time 6% again? That's just, or will you be reevaluating that again?
No, there's no intent
There's
to
no-
do that
okay.
6% again.
And then what about the empty container one?
The empty rate and the transshipment rates, we're going to keep those for a while. We'll reevaluate on an annual basis and see where we stand, make decisions as to how much further.
And what do you tell the tenants? That, I mean, can they depend on this? Do they know there's an end date, or? you just kind of say, we'll talk about it next year?
Basically, that's what we say, realizing that our customers negotiate their rates on an annual basis, and we'll be sure that they have certainty on these discounts as they go into their rate negotiations. We won't pull the rug out from under them after they've negotiated their rate and then change it. So we'll be sure they have enough certainty so they can keep their rate negotiations.
What do you consider our biggest competition in terms of other ports at this time?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
We have competition coming at us from outside the United States. I think that's the thing we have to watch the most closely. We have a small port in Canada that's opened up,
Right.
that is marketing themselves as the heartland as the gateway to the heartland of America.
Mm-hmm.
In and around 2014, the new Panama Canal will open. We'll see
Right.
some potential diversions from that.
Right.
I think we have a joint ports collaborative marketing effort with all the West Coast ports that's really, and also including the railroads,
Mm-hmm.
that's aimed at dealing with the threat from outside the U.S. West Coast. We also are active in our discussions with our contacts in Washington about how we can structure parity with containers that might come in from outside the U.S. and don't pay things like our harbor maintenance tax
Right.
coming into the U.S. and how that could be dealt with. So I'd say that's probably our number one. And then, of course, we continue to market and compete against the other U.S. West Coast ports.
And so then how are these rates, do these rates compare with some of the other West? I know you mentioned Long Beach, but does this put us at a competitive advantage with the other West Coast ports, these rates? Or is everybody doing this?
In terms of the rates before you on this item, pretty close. We're very close in terms of what a customer pays to bring a container across the wharf.
So what sets us apart? Oh, please welcome Councilmember Tom Lavange. So what puts us at what makes our port stand out? Why would someone come to our port?
A number of reasons. We probably first and foremost, we're the gateway to a huge regional consumer base and the largest manufacturing base in the United States. Southern California does both.
Right.
So
This is where they want to come.
automatically, they want to come here.
Right.
We also have the best inland infrastructure for moving containers. About half of what comes in to the port complex is consumed regionally. About half gets shipped
Right.
largely by train.
Right.
We have the best, most highly developed inland rail infrastructure of any port complex in the western
Right.
U.S.
The only thing we could probably do better is more on-dock rail.
That's correct, and we're working on several on-dock rail improvement projects as we speak. The one that's in development right now is our TRAPAC on-dock, which will mean that we have right now 6 of our 7 intermodal or container terminals have on-dock. Once we get that done, all 7 will have it, which makes us superior to
Yeah.
any West Coast.
Right. Yeah, it's still about getting their cargo here and then on train or truck and to its destination as quickly as possible.
That's the key right there.
Right. And again, I always think there's the landside congestion is more of a cause for diversion of cargo than almost anything. They want to get it in here and then out to where it needs to get to as quickly as possible. That's what makes us attractive. When are we going to, speaking of that, because I know Pier Pass was a huge part, in my opinion, of making congestion much less. And I know we maybe dropped a couple of shifts of Pier Pass because of the decline in cargo. Is there, do you know if there's talk about adding another shift again?
There's a lot of discussion related to shifts, staffing of gates and Pier Pass, a tremendous amount of discussion going on right now.
So I know at one point we were 4 nights and 1 and Saturday. And then I think we dropped a couple of nights or...
It's some locations have. I think it's important to note that the Pier Pass is not a port program.
Right.
It's a program run by the terminal operators.
Right.
Nevertheless, we've been out on the road the past few weeks. We had a group of port representatives went to talk to our beneficial cargo owners all over the Midwest last week. And that was one of the things that we came back with, was a lot of concern over that issue. We're having discussions with everybody we can talk to about ways to improve that. So that is an ongoing issue, and I think you've correctly noted that as a major concern right now.
Right. Well, I mean, even the one we have now, we've gotten 15 million trucks off peak hour traffic, which I think is significant.
Yes,
Significant.
PurePass was a great exercise in congestion pricing.
Right.
And in that regard, it helped a lot. There are some issues, of course, with gate hours and queues at gates, especially as the PurePass period starts in the second shift. So
Right.
we'll continue.
I think
to
it's an
spread that.
important. I think it's an important program, obviously, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But if it can be improved, then we should work to do that.
And I think that's where we are. Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc, do you have any questions?
No,
on-
I just wanted to say, I went down to Long Beach. I hope I didn't ask you permission to go to Long Beach.
You don't have to ask my permission, just San Pedro.
I know, okay, just San Pedro. And I thought of both Los Angeles and Long Beach and the importance of the West and what we are to the country, and just to inform people and what it means, what this means to us. If you look back in our city's history, there were three great things that took place in the origins. Mulholland and all the workers who built the water system, Phineas Banning and the development of the Port of Los Angeles, and the growth of aviation. And with that, you look at San Diego. San Diego has a natural bay for the Navy, which is nice, but it doesn't have the infrastructure for the rail. It doesn't have the water, all these other things. So there were some key elements that are very special. But I just wanted to say that. Just a quick note, if you would know this, and if next time you would, percentage of cargo that comes into LA, Los Angeles, and the percentage that comes into LAX. I'd just like to know what the difference is, just for information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You know what? Let's take item 3, too, while you're here, because it's really kind of the same.
Yes, item
Item-
3 is an amendment to the permit with Trade Pack to provide the same discounts and rent credit relative to the 2010 container customer initiatives adopted by the board.
Okay, council members, Mike Christensen again with Harbor Department. This is exactly the same program as is contained in your agenda item number 1. Trade Pack is of course one of our 7 container terminals, and it had been moved off of the other item because of some discussions that we were having with Trade Pack related to the empty container discount. In the end, we all came together and Trade Pack agreed, and so we're putting this forward. Though a separate item, it's exactly the same deal as item 1.
So they get $500,000 per year of a discount?
Yes.
That's really significant?
It's,
Not so significant?
It's on a percentage basis,
change?
it's the same. It's about the same as the other
6%?
terminals. Yes.
Right.
Well, the 6% is about $2 million, I believe, on this one. I think the $500,000 is the net effect of the empty credit and the
Okay.
transshipment.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Okay. So one-time credit is $2 million, 6%, and then the empty container is $500,000.
That's correct.
And how long do you think this will last?
Again, the one-time, or the discount, 6% discount is a one-time only payment. The others are until we repeal them.
And so why did it take so long to negotiate the permit with Trade Pack?
Trade Pack is a little bit unique. Of all of our container terminals, Trade Pack is the one that's run basically by the terminal operating company, as opposed to the steamship lines that operate the others. And they had to look at the empty container rate a little differently, so we had to get into discussions. So they have a slightly different business model. It took a little more time to get this ironed out.
And this discount was based on just the down economy.
That's correct. Down economy, but in the context of the down economy, maintaining and hopefully growing our market share, and then keeping our container customers viable to the extent that we could
Right.
in our budget.
And could you just say, again, for the record, that the MOU agreement involving the Trade Pack terminal there was no money that TRAPAC pays as a result of that.
That is correct. The MOU between the
fact,
appellants
looks
and the Harbor Department and the city, the revenue from that, which establishes the community mitigation trust fund, comes out of the proceeds that would come to the Harbor Department. They're not put on top of what the.
But TRAPAC
operating
pays
costs of the terminal.
no money as a result of that agreement.
That's correct.
In fact, many of us believe they were able to move forward with their project even quicker.
At the Harbor Department, we have high hopes on the success of the Community Mitigation Trust Fund that came out of that MOU, and are in negotiations on getting that entity set up as we speak.
In fact, TRAPAC will be just fine. You're giving them a great discount. When that terminal is completed and the economy picks back up, we know that the throughput just at TRAPAC will equal the throughput at the entire Port of Oakland.
Not TRAPAC, that would be more at Maersk, but
Actually, that was in all the documents surrounding TRAPAC.
at full build-out.
That's what I
That
said.
would be correct.
That's what I just
I'm
said.
sorry, you are correct.
Thank you.
And we are under construction on their wharf presently. TRAPAC got a new container line, started calling here a couple months ago, or a month ago, so they're already expanding.
Right. So we would like that message to get out even louder and clearer, as
Very
you
well.
said about educating people.
Very well.
Okay, so on both those items, should we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, we'll approve those items.
Item 2.
Yes.
Under item 2, the Board of Harbor Commissioners submits for approval the Fourth Amendment to the permit with Evergreen Marine Corporation, and this would provide for temporary one-time relief from the annual adjustment in compensation that is based on the Consumer Price Index, which is unique to Evergreen's permit.
Okay. Council members, Evergreen has an agreement, as was mentioned, that is unique with as compared to other container terminals. Evergreen, most of our container terminals have what we call a 5-year reset, where every 5 years, under the terms of the lease, we're able to go back and examine the economy, the value of the property, and do a renegotiate based on the guidelines within the lease itself. Evergreen is a little bit unique in that it does not have the 5-year resets. It is its adjustments are annual, and they're based on the Consumer Price Index.
Mm-hmm.
As it was,
And this is the only container terminal that is subject to the CPI adjustment?
that's correct. And as it was going into the beginning of this calendar year, Evergreen was faced with a 2.7% CPI rate increase January 1st, which was at the very depths of the recession. And CPI is an interesting thing. We can be in the middle of a recession, yet we still see sometimes an increase in the Consumer Price
Right.
Index. So Evergreen came to us and, said, this is a problem. Can you do something about it? So we looked at it, and we determined that we would put forward a one-time only exemption from the CPI increase for Evergreen, and that is what is before you today. And
why was this agreed to in the first place with them as part of their lease agreement?
This goes back quite a number of years, predates pretty much all of us at the port. We were not quite sure. It could have had something to do with the fact that 10 years ago, we were on this double-digit growth curve that nobody could see an end to, and it was decided by the then negotiating team that they'd try to do a CPI reference. As it turns out, it's not what we're doing now, but
Was there a talk of getting rid of this altogether?
Well, we'd have to go in and completely renegotiate the lease.
All right.
That has
So
not
you
been-
gave them a waiver of this increase. Well, what did that amount to? What would that have been?
I'm not sure I have that number at my fingertip. Hold on.
And this is on top of, because they were one of those,
They had a very good representative back then, Robert Kleiss.
I
as you
remember
and I think he
him.
was
He was
skilled
great.
at articulating his concerns, and
yeah.
that's my only
Well,
guess.
but they under item 1, they were one of those that you also gave the 6% one time and the 50% discount on the empty container. So so this is on top of that.
No.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
It is.
And so
This was the 2010 compensation year at the 2.72%.
Right.
Was worth 1.1 million.
So 1.1 million. So Evergreen totally got,
They got a little more than the others. By the same token, Evergreen has among the highest TEU rates of any of our leases right now. So we felt justified that we
Okay.
could offer them this.
well, you guys are being really generous to your tenants.
We're trying very hard to keep our customers viable and to keep that market share, because as we come out of this recession, we think it's critically important. In fact, you'll see in our strategic thrust coming into this next fiscal year, it's marketing. We think it's critically important that we come out of this recession ready to increase our market share, and we think this is important.
Okay. Where's Labange?
I think it's okay.
I think it's okay. Okay. Do you have a,
Motion moved.
okay. No objection. We'll approve item 2.
Under item 4, the Board of Harbor Commissioners submits for approval the Fourth Amendment to an agreement with outside counsel, Shepherd, Kim, and Overland, which is assisting the city attorney in the Federal False Claims Act
Wow.
case
This is still going on.
involving
morning.
Mr. Mosler. And the proposed contract amendment would extend the term by 1 year for a total term of 5 years expiring on July 17th, 2011.
Good
This
morning.
is shocking to me. I mean, I was thinking it was 9 years, but it's like 8 years.
8 years. It was filed. The case was filed March
Right.
30th, 2002. And I'm Chris Bobo, Assistant City Attorney for the City Attorney's Office at the Harbor Division.
Right.
As you may recall, this is a False Claims Act brought by a individual, Stanley Mosler, alleging the port defrauded the federal government out of the money it expended for the Pier 400 dredging project. The defendants, including the city, successfully defended the case at the trial court level. The trial court granted summary judgment for all defendants. Mr. Mosler has appealed the case to the Ninth Circuit.
Of course he has.
We hope that the Ninth Circuit will agree with the trial court judge and throw the case
And
out.
when will that be heard?
We do not have a hearing date at this time. The practice of the Ninth Circuit is to receive briefs from the parties and only schedule a hearing date if they believe it's necessary. Mr. Mosler filed his brief last month. Our brief is due June 7th. And then it's a matter of waiting.
Can you give me and now this contract does not ask for additional money.
That's correct. We believe the contract still contains enough funds to handle the appeal. We're just seeking to extend the contract for 1 year. The current contract would expire on July 17th. This will ensure that we have our outside counsel ready and available should we have to appear at a hearing in the Ninth Circuit and should there be any further proceedings.
Can you tell me the total cost?
The total cost of defending this action to
Yes,
date is
yes.
approximately $3 million. That's 8 years of litigation.
Wow. And are we making, but so, I mean, it's not, there's no point in saying, are we making progress?
We won. We just
So
have
far,
to
yeah,
keep,
you just
keep
have to-
going. Go to the distance.
Yeah. Okay, any questions?
No, I know why you're disappointed, but
In what?
time,
Oh,
because you want things done now, and it took so long to do it. But that's one of the things. But it's a 1 year.
It's a 1 year
That's good.
contract.
And Mr. Tanich supports it. City
Oh,
attorney.
absolutely,
Good.
yes.
Okay, I move.
yeah. And again, you think by July 17th of next year,
We hope this case will be completely over and the Ninth Circuit will have agreed with the trial court. by
right?
then.
So you will just give us an update?
Yes, we will. We will notify you when
okay.
this case is finally resolved.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, well, there's no money involved. Well, no more money involved. We'll approve that contract.
Very well.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh,
And-
wait, I'm so sorry. I had a card on this. Arnold Sachs. Apologize. Oh, it's on 3? What? Oh, what was? Oh, I'm sorry. It was on the tray pack one. I apologize. I wasn't.
Thank you. Good morning, Arnold Sachs. Because I looked at that,
Oh,
my point was that you had 5, and then you had 1, and then I looked again, you had number 2 was also a container ship. But you mentioned that number 2, Evergreen, also was considered as one of the 5
Right.
from item number 1.
right.
The gentleman spoke, he said there were 7 container lines. So if number 2 was part of number 1, that's 5, and number 3 is different because it was the 5 in the first one were steamship lines, that only 6 container lines.
We already did
Because
one.
5
Did
and
one previous.
3, that's 5, and 1 is 6. And yet he said there were 7 container lines. So where's the 7th line? That's my question, number 1. Number 2, there was a fee that was supposed to be charged on the containers. When's that going to come around? And number 3, the city is looking at 10% contract reductions and giving away 3% or 6% contract reductions. Do the math. I mean, you're in looking for money. You spent yesterday talking about funding for arts and nonprofits, and you're not collecting the fees for the containers that were put off, and you're giving more money on top of it. I'm sure that if they want to ship their stuff to another port, I mean, there's only so much you can give away before you start collecting funding. But again, I'd like to know where's the 6th or the 7th container line is, because you're only talking about 6 here in your agenda. 5 and 1 makes 6. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go to item 5, and I was going to hold the public comments first so we could hear from the public on this item.
Okay. Item 5 is consideration of motion Hahn Rosendahl, introduced in January of this year, proposing that the council ask the Harbor Department to report on the status of a project labor agreement policy that would apply to all major capital improvement projects at the Port of Los Angeles.
Great. So let's have public comment. We've got quite a lot of cards and not enough time, so
I move a 1-minute public comment.
1 minute for each person. You guys can say what you need to say in 1 minute. Okay, let's start with Freddie China, Robert Negreti, and Tony Guerrero. We have 4 mics. And Rigoberto, how do I say your last name? Atsip. Okay. 4 of you, come on up. 1 minute apiece, and then we'll get to the next one. Okay. Go ahead,
Oh, I'll go first.
in any order.
Ready there. Good morning,
Morning.
council members. My name's Tony Guerrero, and I'm a citizen of the South Bay area for 17 years. And currently, I'm unemployed. I've been employed since July of 2008. The reason I'm here is it's in regards because the recession has affected quite a few of my fellow citizens, fellow community members, and I just want to make sure that that the jobs that are going to be implemented in the port for the redevelopment that we implement a construction careers program policy,
Yeah.
and we want to make sure that that will give us an opportunity to give us middle class income and health benefits, and we'd like to just to get back from this bubble where we're at. I don't got too much time, but that's it.
That's
Really,
good.
I
That
just
was
wanted
perfect.
to thank you for taking the time to implement this.
Good,
Okay,
that was
thank
perfect.
you very much.
Morning, council members.
Good morning.
My name is Robert Negreti. I'm 33 years old and I live in Wilmington. I work as a union painter before. Before that, I worked as a non-union painter. And the difference is like night and day. Working union means I can earn more than enough money to take care of myself and my family. When I worked non-union, my wages were so low that I had to drive an old beat-up car that broke down on me. Sometimes I even had to walk to work because taking a day off to fix my car meant that I'd be out of a job. Now, I've been able to buy a brand new truck. When I worked non-union, I didn't have health care. Now I have a plan that gives me and my family benefits. I never wanted to be a drain on the system, and now because I have a union career, my son and I have a health care. Lately, I've introduced some kids into the union apprenticeship program. I know that eventually the economy will turn around, and when it does, I want to make sure they get a good union construction job. I don't want them to get involved in gangs or have to work two jobs that don't pay well, not when there's a better way for them out there. A good job has been able to help me turn my life around, and that's why I'm here today.
Perfect. Do you want to finish one more sentence, or? That was good.
That was good.
Okay.
To support the construction career policy.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Hi, my
Hi.
name is Freddie China, and I'm an iron worker from Local 416. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak. I got into the iron workers as an apprentice program in 2005. I just recently graduated. Before I started with the iron workers, I worked for several years for a non-union construction contractor. The difference between union and non-union is, as he said, night and day. I wasn't really given any safety training when I was on non-union. In fact, I was never given any formal training at all. It was just a job, and there was no clear path for a career. And we were also replaceable. There was no. I have a wife, and I also want kids, so I knew I had to do something that would actually help me earn a good middle class, so I could support my family. So I joined the Iron Workers Apprenticeship. My pay doubled, and I was able to take
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
to actually learn how to better myself, and they gave me the training. So the construction career program at the port can make a difference for those people, giving them the opportunity to earn a good middle class livelihood. When more people have those chances, we're all better off.
That's true. Very good. Thank you. Okay.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Mi nombre es Rigoberto Axip
Good morning. My name is Rigoberto Axi.
y vivo en la ciudad de Wilmington.
I live in the city of Wilmington.
Y es para nosotros pues de mucha importancia el obtener esta calidad de empleo.
It's very important for the people in our community to get good quality jobs
Porque representa muchos beneficios para nosotros los residentes.
This will result in many benefits for the residents, local residents at the port.
Las carreras de construcción lo tomamos así como una buena oportunidad para obtener un empleo que nos va a dar muchos beneficios en el sentido de, por ejemplo, vamos a poder obtener un mejor salario y con ese salario podemos obtener, por ejemplo, un seguro.
The Constructions Career Program gives us an opportunity to get to have decent wages, and also for us to have health benefits, and we can also give back to our local economy.
Thank you very much. Gracias. Okay, we'll hear from, thank you very much. Carlos Prinzen, Ron Miller, James Irwin, and Tommy. All right. Oh, thank you. Okay.
So we're stuck right on 1 minute?
Yeah, we need to stay on 1 minute because we still have to, because we have to be in council at 10 o'clock.
So I
unfortunately.
eliminate a lot of this.
That's okay, just,
Get right to the
Get
point.
right to the-
Good morning, everybody.
good morning.
I have worked 14 years in Banning High School as a volunteer, helping to raise the graduation rate so our kids can have a better future. Now you can help them have the jobs they need to support themselves. The union will give them the skills to pay bills, keep the jobs in the harbor for local people to raise their standard of living. We owe it to our youth. You want less crime? Then help them earn a decent living. Again, give our harbor community a chance. A construction career program will give our youth a real opportunity, a chance to have a middle-class livelihood. I grew up on the docks. I understand what it is to shine shoes, sell newspapers, work canneries, work union, non-union. Union, you had a contract where everybody was honest. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your day. Good luck to you, Janice.
Thank you, Carlos.
Good morning. My name
Couldn't
is
say it better than that.
Good morning.
My name is Jim Irwin. I'm with the I'm a representative of the Painters and Allied Trades. We represent about 10,000 members in painting, drywall finishing, trade show, glass, and floor trades. And we're in support of the construction careers policy, and I'd like you to approve that today if you could. And we really appreciate your help as council members, and appreciate your support of this policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, council
morning.
members. I'm Ron Miller. I'm a business representative for Plumbers Local 78. I represent the plumbers in Los Angeles. These PLAs are important to us. LA's been a role model for project labor agreements. We can't understand why they take so long to get in place.
I know, me neither.
We have you have a good compliance department in the city, creates a good level playing field for all the contractors to bid, and it brings good middle-class local jobs to the community. And so we stand in favor of this, and we wish to see it pushed through as soon as possible. We have 40% unemployment in my local. Thank you.
Thank you.
40%, did you say?
Good morning, committee members, Han, Rosendahl, and Labange. My name is Tommy Faavai. I represent International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers in the Los Angeles area. I cover the port area in the harbor area as an organizer and as a staff member. I just would like to say that project labor agreements is the backbone of our trades industry, and our apprenticeship programs are the lifeblood, which inherits in all apprentices that come through our apprenticeship program. That carries on to become a journeyman wireman, and then it cycles throughout our apprenticeship program, and that's what we like to see. We like to see local hire implemented in this project labor agreement. Construction careers policy is the key to career ladder opportunities in the different trades apprenticeship programs. Bottom line, committee members, this is a long time coming, and we need to implement this right away. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. Who's here from, are you again? Colleagues, this is so important. It's one of the things that I think when I came into office in 2001, I pledged that we would have a project labor agreement at the Port of Los Angeles. And clearly, good times, but even in bad times, our port is still the economic engine of this region. And I believe that project labor agreements that include some kind of apprenticeship, job training, piece, also a piece that would take into consideration local residents to get hired for these projects. We know that those who live in Wilmington and San Pedro and even some of the other surrounding communities sometimes feel the impact of the Port of Los Angeles in terms of traffic and congestion and pollution and bad air, and yet sometimes they're the ones that least benefit from this economic engine. So project labor agreements are good. They're good for the economy. They're good for taking people in and giving them good skills, good job training, apprenticeship programs, and they end up having better projects in the end. Projects that are built under project labor agreements are better projects. They're better for the city. They're better for residents. They're better for government. I mean, they're better for the port. They really work well. I've been frustrated that this has taken so long, but it looks like we're close to having our Harbor Commission approve this type of agreement. I just want to make sure when we finally approve this, it does include these components that I'm just speaking of. Local residents getting a chance at some of these jobs. Really this job training apprenticeship piece of the project labor agreement, which I think is a must. I mean, that's really how we spread the good news, is bringing up more people, more young people, into giving them good job skills and good training. We sat here and listened for the majority of our meeting on, giving breaks to the tenants, giving breaks to the shipping industry, giving breaks to terminals operators. So this is an opportunity for us to give a break to the people. a break to those who really want to work, have, I have much more sympathy, I think, for those figures of, 40% unemployment in one of these unions, then sometimes I know we need to get our market share and we need to really give respect to our tenants, but really these stories, me, these are the ones that pull at my heartstrings, and these are the ones I believe will, if we can turn this around, this is how you improve the economy. I know all the other elements that it's going to take to improve our economy, but we're not going to improve until these folks improve, until we've got jobs, people are feeding their families, people are beginning to spend money in our local economy, paying sales tax, paying their property tax. I mean, this is really how our economy is going to improve. So give us good news on where we're at. Can you tell me what's going to be included in this project labor agreement so that I can have comfort that these issues are being addressed in this project labor agreement? And can you give me assurance that this actually will be approved, hopefully at the next Harbor Commission meeting on June 17th? There.
Okay, council members, Mike Christensen, Deputy Executive Director at the Harbor Department. We share your desires, Councilmember Hahn, and your concerns. First, I wanted to introduce who's at the table right now. Okay. John Reamer from the Bureau of Contract Administration, Department of Public Works, and Hugo Rossiter from the City Attorney's Office. And who you have before you is basically the team that is rolling up our sleeves to put this department-wide or programmatic PLA together. Council members, the project labor agreements are basically a way of life at the port right now. Right now I have 5 construction contracts under PLAs, in excess of 2,000 construction workers. We have in our project level PLAs a 30% local hire provision. We're hitting about 34% right now.
And what does local hire mean?
Local hire is
radius?
Is low income and impacted zip codes within a 10-mile radius.
10-mile radius, okay.
But what we find frustrating is that we have to go through this process every time we do a project.
Right.
New PLA.
Right.
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 signatures that have to be affixed.
So we need one umbrella.
We are moving forward right now with the department-wide or programmatic project labor agreement discussions. We've had a number of meetings, and one of the reasons that you're seeing the 3 of us is we're doing this as a joint Harbor Department of Public Works action. We have a lot of commonality between our 2 departments. We have a lot of the same issues.
Because Public Works already has a PLA, is that right?
Public Works, and John can speak to that, Public Works, like us, have a lot of PLAs in place right now,
okay,
but not a department-wide. We have, Public Works has taken a lead in going to their board and getting an authorization to negotiate, which lays out a lot, Councilmember, of what you're talking about. We are moving with a similar board action right now, queued to be on agenda for our June 17th board meeting.
Okay, good.
This will lay out in very general terms
Right.
what we propose to move forward with in negotiations.
Okay.
Assuming the Board of Harbor Commissioners gives their thumbs up, we will be into negotiations within a matter of weeks, we believe, with the building trades.
Okay.
The development of the department-wide project labor agreement will be in parallel with the development of a construction careers policy at the Harbor Department.
Okay.
There's been jockeying back and forth as to which came first, kind of the chicken or the egg thing. We've determined that it would be best.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Same time.
Only.
And that's exactly, Councilmember, what we decided is they will go on a parallel path. So once we have negotiated the terms,
And explain this career construction policy.
The construction careers policy will be the policy piece that will accompany the project.
And what will it
agreement.
say? What is that policy?
It will largely say what is the goal, what are the objectives, what's the kind of political vision behind the project labor agreement, which is the actual document that gets affixed to our construction contracts. Both the careers policy and the PLA will talk about our local hire. They're going
Okay.
to talk about disadvantaged workers.
Okay.
They're going to talk about apprenticeship program and
Okay.
how much of the apprentices that are coming on are going to be local.
Okay,
They're going to talk about things like core workers. They're going to
okay.
have thresholds.
And that still needs to be negotiated, is what you're saying?
That is correct.
Okay, so it's an overall vision that we would like to see happen, but the specifics of it still need to be negotiated.
That's correct. And the very basic framework that will be made into this policy will be embedded within the board item. I've
Okay.
included a
So when
council
they
member-
approve it on the board, they will just be approving this framework?
Authorization to negotiate.
Authorization to
Go
negotiate, okay.
forward. And one of the things, council members, I put on your desk is just a brief one and a half page
Right.
memo about where we are.
Right.
But I've also appended for your reference the actions that John Reamer and his group have gone forward with in their board action, which we are using
Okay.
to pattern ours after, along with some interesting information which we're going to be presenting to our board about PLAs in general.
And when do you think the negotiations will be complete and we will actually have the policy in place?
I wish I could say I'd look for some help from my right and left on that.
Okay. Let's not follow the Stanley Mosler model.
Absolutely not.
9 years. I think, but what you're saying to me is, because I know we have projects in the pipeline at the port, really for the first time in a long time. We've got projects ready to move forward, whether it's the waterfront, whether it's terminal expansion and modernization. But what you're telling me is, even if this is not completely negotiated and adopted, you're saying that each of those projects could be, if needed, individually negotiated to have a project labor agreement.
That's correct, council member. In fact, given that we've been delayed a year or so in getting this, we went ahead
Okay.
and with the help of particularly of Mr. Rossler in the city attorney's office and Richard Slauson at Building Trades, we've gotten individual project labor agreements. It's just a lot of
It's a lot of more
hassle,
work.
and it doesn't really translate into the policy piece that we
Right.
hoped to make a blanket to the Harbor Department.
Right. And, yeah, and it also doesn't, in my opinion, give long-term hope or, an ability to really plan for your future, for you and your family, if it's each one of these is individually negotiated. I mean, people need to have hope that down the road, every single project that comes out of the Port of Los Angeles includes these specifics, which will help folks, get jobs, have careers, and, get this economy back moving. That's what I want to have happen. Do you want to say something?
I just want to address your question about timing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Hugo Ross, the Deputy City Attorney, is we have an ongoing relationship with the building trades now, and that's carried through with individual project labor agreements, all of which are essentially very similar. It's more,
Right.
quite frankly, it's more of a logistical process of getting individual projects done rather than what we think of as intense negotiations. We would anticipate that we would do this as quickly as possible. It is a negotiation, and
Right.
there are some issues to be resolved on both sides. But it's very clear that both the port and public works and the building trades want to get this done as quickly as possible, as you do. So I would not anticipate a lengthy delay at all.
Okay. All right. Colleagues?
Yeah, question. You said a little over 2,000 now have a project labor agreement. How many workers are we talking about that don't get covered by a project labor agreement?
Maybe 300 or 400 out of that number. That would be, we have over $300 million, probably closer to 350 out of a $500 million program that presently have PLA coverage. So the percentage and proportion would be about the same.
So right now, a little over 2,000 are part of it, but about 300 to 400 aren't?
I would say that would be right, yes.
Okay, so that's the real story here, is 300 to 400 folks are not covered by a project labor agreement.
That would be
That work
a
before.
pretty good estimate,
Okay,
yes.
second question is for you. Do you guys have an MOU with Public Works? In other words, is the harbor paying for his services?
I appreciate you asking that question, council member. Yes, we do. And in fact, we have made as a center point on the way we do PLAs, because a project labor agreement requires some care and feeding.
Yeah.
Particularly on the administrative side. And we've made the decision that rather than hire that out, which a lot of public entities do, we're going to use Mr. Reamer's group, the Bureau of Contract Administration. And of our 5 active PLAs, those are all being managed with the help of BCA people.
Do you pay for that?
Yes.
So you're covered with an MOU with Public Works?
Yes, his people fall in the special funded category,
Okay,
absolutely.
and what about city attorney? How does that work?
Well, there is a city attorney group that's specifically for the Porter course. I'm not part of that. I'm here downtown. And in all honesty, we haven't been charging for me as of right now.
You have not?
Have not.
Okay, look into that, would you? To charge the harbor for that? They're a proprietary department. Your department is suffering. Wanna lose-
Give them a rate. Give them a good rate, though. Be a little easy, Bill.
Of course.
We are looking.
We want a project labor agreement for you. No, you're looking at that?
No, yes, we are looking at it.
Okay, I want you to come back with that and let us know, okay?
Will
Okay.
do.
All right. So we're looking at about 400 folks who aren't covered. And as Ms. Hahn said, she's been very patient for 9 years to get to a certain point. And when do you expect us to resolve this so that everybody's covered?
Again, the point that Mr. Rosser made,
3 months?
I would
altogether?
hope
2 months?
I would hope by the end of summer we could have something I would bring to our Board of Harbor Commissioners to approve. Whether that hope could be realized or not.
Yeah,
I don't
what's
know.
the problem in holding it up? I mean,
It's just we're getting into roll up your sleeve negotiations
With the
on
unions.
issues, some of which we're not totally aligned. I mean, issues on local hire is not something particular.
true.
Maybe building trades may not be totally in agreement with. We have
That's
to.
true.
We have to.
If you go 15 miles circumference, you get the ocean. So I think you should subtract the ocean and then go deeper into
We don't
the local.
include the zip codes in the ocean.
All right, okay.
Actually, I don't even
Those
know they have a
dolphins
zip
or
code.
anything?
Good point.
Thank you. Okay, great. Again, this has been a priority of mine since I was elected, again, in 2001. I really believe this is important. I think it's the right thing to do. It makes complete sense to move this forward. I appreciate all of your hard work in doing this. These are clearly not easy to adopt. So we really want to encourage you. And what I want us to do, colleagues, is I want us to request that the Board of Harbor Commissioners adopt a resolution requesting staff to finalize negotiations related to a port project labor agreement and policy. And I want to request that the Harbor Department report back on that final PLA and policy when it happens.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Unanimous.
Hope is on the way for everyone. So moved. Okay, we have Arnold Sachs. Are you still here? No, he left. Okay, thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
Very good.
Very good. Thanks for